All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming in to our Should I Add Sports Cards, Non-Sports Cards, Comics, and Collectibles to My Reselling Business? The guest that we have here today, I want to make sure I give him a proper introduction. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Pittsburgh.
Crusher and Tony Hansen had to ready for the opening match of the night. The big man's debut. Let's see what he's got.
Power Slam. Don't take my cards. Uh-oh, here we go. That's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, co-holder of the NWA Tag Team Championship, Pittsburgh, Anthony.
What is up? I've never had an intro like that. For that, Paul, I am sending you one of these for free.
Oh, man, thank you. Yeah, if anybody didn't know, Anthony was a professional wrestler and co-holder of the tag team belts.
That's true.
And if you look back, it's been several months now. I did an interview with Anthony, and he talks about that time of his life. Mm-hmm. And I'm envious because I'm a wrestling fan, always have been. So it's funny, though, you're in a sense of a way, you're back. You're back to sports collectibles and sports stuff.
Yep.
Although now it's baseball and football.
Yep. Baseball, basketball, football, a little bit of everything. But yeah, I mainly focus on the major sports and stuff like that.
And Mr. Stash said, "Oh, that looked like it hurt."
Yeah, it definitely doesn't tickle.
Thanks, everyone, for coming in. Let's just say hello to some people here. First in, Penny Day. Welcome, Penny. How you doing today? Mr. Stash. Hi, Mr. Stash. Thanks for coming in. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here, spending some time with us to talk about sports cards, comics, and collectibles. Gate City Picker in the chat. Steve Reseller. Hey, Steve. Susanna, if anybody missed the show this morning, I did a one-on-one with Susanna live, step by step by step. She listed her first item in many years on eBay, and I left about 11:45 to go do some errands, and she has been texting me all throughout the morning. I got another one up. She's up to 4 listings now. She's only ever listed 1, but now she's up to 4. So more power to you, Susanna. That's excellent.
So she's going to be like that phone in the beginning of your intro, huh?
Yes. That, I have to admit, the funny thing is that was my birthday too.
Uh-huh.
And of course you could see the price.
Yeah.
99 of them were all DVDs.
Yeah.
Low money. But I had them end all at the same time because I think the next day we were going back home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's like, oh, damn, man, these things are selling.
That's awesome.
So that was an awesome clip to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Did I miss anybody? DC Sells. How are you, DC? Stash, Pittsburgh, Penny, Susan, DC. If I missed anybody, I am real sorry. Kyle's here. Hey, Kyle. Miss listening while I do work. I don't blame you. Melissa Cape, hi. Dolly, how you doing? Melissa, Dolls, Susanna, Stash. Funny thing of you, I get people that come up to me and say, "You both know you look like Captain Lou Albano." Penny Day, and everyone that was in the chat. All right, so typically I've been doing Tuesday talks mostly on business, reselling business. Excuse me. And I wanted to get Anthony on because Anthony and Nate have been going gangbusters doing sports cards.
Absolutely.
Literally gangbusters doing sports cards. And I just remember back in the day when I had my comic shop, we used to sell sports cards, non-sports cards, because they were offered to us.
Yeah.
And, people always ask me, Paul, I want to start collecting comics. I want to start selling comics. Mm-hmm. What do you think? I see so-and-so selling them and they seem to be going for a lot of money. What do you think? And lately, people are spending, in my estimation, they're spending too much for some of the stuff, but they're speculating.
Yeah.
They're it's like any comic book is almost any sports card, any Pokemon card, any Magic card. They're like stock certificates.
Yep, exactly. And that's what they're doing now it really is like you're playing the stock market with it, or really even like a fantasy sport, because anytime the guys that I'm invested in do really well, for me, I get that rush. Like I just did really well on, Sunday in some fantasy football. Yeah. That's what guys do. Like they'll anticipate, hey, this guy's going to have a good season or, whatnot. And they'll pick up some of their stuff while it's low. Like, cause the best thing to do is to buy in the off season, because no one's really buying stuff then. And the price values are down because prices fluctuate every day, kind of like the stock market. So then once the season comes up, all the prices shoot through the roof. So if you bought it in the off season, you can very easily double up once the season starts. But
now, sports, and everybody, I'm sorry, we were going to have Jimmy on. I wanted to get Jimmy's perspective, Jimmy's old school flips. I wanted to get Jimmy's perspective on toys also. But then I also sell toys, and Anthony also sells toys. Jimmy couldn't make it. He's with his wife on a day trip, and he couldn't get back on time. Sports cards, you have to know the player. Hello, Melissa Kate, right?
If you're doing singles, yes. But the nice thing about cards is the way the market is right now, if you're able to even like go to a Walmart or a Target or a Meijer or any of those places and find sealed boxes that, aren't being rationed, or, most stores are pretty much cleared out. But most of those boxes you can turn around and flip sealed for, 3 to 4x the value that you pay at Walmart or Target to get them. So really, you don't necessarily need to know the players or the sport very well. You just need to know like kind of what are the hotter sets to go and get. You know what I mean? Because if you have a thinker, you might get stuck with a few boxes. But for the most part, anything basketball and football really moves well.
But now like I'll watch your Maddie stop. I'm sorry. Amazon is at the door. Hello, Robert. Thanks for coming in. Sorry if I missed anybody. Now, I do watch yours and Nate's, and like most of us, I'll just put the background stuff on and I'll just keep working.
Yeah.
I do not follow sports. All right. I never did. The only real sport I follow is wrestling, and I don't follow it that much. But still, you guys are like, he's having a great season. He's this, he's that. And sometimes I have no idea who you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm sure I'm not all alone.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The person like me, I guess if I'm going to invest or start selling, I want to keep everything sealed packs and sealed boxes.
Yes and no. If you're just looking to get into it for a quick flip, then I would suggest, just staying with the sealed stuff. But if you're looking to get into it, like, for example, investment wise, because there's a lot of people from the business world that are getting into sports cards now, like, for example, Mark Cuban, and there's a whole group of people through this thing called Golden Auctions where they're actually getting like Michael Jordan rookie cards and cards that are like really big, expensive cards, selling them for record numbers. And what they're doing is they're breaking them down into shares. So say like you or I, we can't afford to go out and, spend almost, $750,000 to buy a Michael Jordan, but we can afford to, say spend, a couple $100 to like buy a piece of that Jordan rookie. So then as it starts to accumulate in value, our piece, then grows in value too, just like, a stock would, or, some kind of a bond or whatnot. So
do that.
There's a lot of that going on now. And, there's even a website like for people that are avid into it, like kind of like me and Nate are. It's called Star Stock, where you can literally day trade stuff. So everything's digital. They keep everything there. And like, so you send your cards to them, you can sell them in real time, you can buy them in real time. So say like I bought a card off of you because Jason Tatum's having a killer game. You know what I mean? And the Celtics are looking good, but then after halftime, he comes out and breaks his ankle. You know what I mean? I can hurry up and then sell it right back before everybody's like, oh crap, he broke his ankle. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really cool in that sense. So like the minute I do the transaction with you, it's in my like account, and then I can hurry up and reflip it. So sometimes like say I'll pick up the Jason Tatum from you right before he starts really blowing up in the game. And then at the end of the game, he has 40, 50 points, and then you could turn around and sell that for like double the amount. So like there's a lot of stuff like that happening too, but there's a lot of people that are getting into kind of like the legendary cards right now, like the Michael Jordans, the LeBron James, even not being, like into sports cards. They're doing it just kind of like, like for example, if you were to invest in buying gold bricks and you were to just keep them in a safe, knowing that the cost of gold is going to continue to rise, that's kind of what they're doing with some of these, more higher end cards, just knowing that, okay, well, if Michael Jordan's card today in 2021 is $750,000, what's it going to be in 2031, 10 years from now? Because even 2 years ago, Michael Jordan's card, you could have had his rookie card for probably sub $50,000.
Even still, that's a ton of money.
Yep.
Mr. Stash is saying, from 89 to 92, my problem was I could never hold them that long, had to open them all. Now, that's when I had one of my comic shops, and it seemed to me to remember that there was a ton of the stuff being printed back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and back then, like that's the big thing. They call that the junk wax era, because most of that stuff was so overly produced that it's so common, you know what I mean? Like none of it's really holds that much value. But now that grading's a big thing, if you're able to get some of those same cards that, say that there's 100,000 Kobe Bryant rookie cards, if you're able to get that anywhere from like an 8 to a 10, you're talking big dollars, because back then You know, like I remember as a kid, I used to just throw all my cards in my binder. You know, if I nicked one of the corners, it's not that big a deal. It's not like creased or anything like that. And, you know, and grading wasn't really that big of a thing back then. So everybody wasn't as like delicate with their stuff back then either. And the card quality wasn't as good either. So if you're able to find
grading didn't come into place until what, mid 90s, early to mid 90s.
Yeah. And even then, it still wasn't super prevalent, you know what I mean, to where like, everybody and their mom was doing it. Like, because right now, like, even if you look at Zion Williamson, who's the big rookie last year, you know, and you count his, you know, PSA population compared to even Kobe Bryant, who that was like the pinnacle of the junk wax era where everything was mass produced. Kobe is still a small little fraction compared to like Zion Williamson today, just because grading wasn't that big of a thing, and cards that survived in PSA 8 to 10 condition are few and far between now.
Wow. Now I have to admit, on looking at the card point of it, they keep reminding me of comics, because and I can always relate back to the X-Men #1, the new X-Men #1 from '93, I believe. So they came out with 4 covers, hot as hell. I think it peaked at $100 for the book. So back then, there used to be 1 or 2 comic shops in every little town in the state. And then the late 90s, Marvel started doing variant covers like they're doing today, but they started going nuts, and it's almost like they forced a lot of the small comic businesses out. But then Marvel was teetering on going out of business also before they teamed with Toy Biz and they came out with Marvel Legends, whatever. But I think every comic book owner that I knew, we all put a case of X-Men #1s aside. Like I have, I don't know if you could see it on the shelf there.
Brown box?
No, that's not a box. That's a 50-piece sealed lot.
Nice.
Of Disney #1.
Nice.
Tailspin, I think, because I was heavy into Disney, so I was doing hundreds at a time.
That's awesome.
That's the way it came from the printer. They just wrapped them. But today, X-Men #1 is like under book value. It's under cover value. You know, you can find them in some people's 50-cent box. Yeah, the Death of Superman, the black bagged one. You can get it for $1 or $2. But at the time it was hot as hell.
Yeah.
So
from what I understand, Marvel does plan to eventually bring some of those characters into the MCU. I think a lot of the problem is like just having the rights to certain characters. You know what I mean? I think that's why they're kind of picking and choosing who comes in when. You know, and with Disney buying up like pretty much every entity they can, you know, I'd be surprised if, you know, there's not some X-Men coming soon. Like I know WandaVision, the real popular show that's out right now on Disney Plus, they're teasing that, you know, there may be a, you know, Fantastic Four person show up in the season finale or something like that.
Right.
There was already a guy who was had a cameo in the show that was from one of the X-Men movies most recently.
Yeah, Pietro, her brother.
Yep.
And the funny thing is, I had to go to a comic book shop today because I bought a collection and I needed some long boxes. So they were very, very nice people. I already posted on my website, on my Facebook page. Very, very nice people. Mm-hmm. And the guy was teaching me, the kid was teaching me how to spot a fake Pokemon card. Because I asked. And one of the elder employees said, I just found this. It was $6 in the box. So he remarked it as $40 and put it on the wall because it was the first appearance of the White Vision. He says, we're doing that because of last Friday's show, and everybody wants it. So it's like, damn. That fast. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Boom. from $6 to $40.
And that's the way cards are too, especially with Marvel and stuff like that. That's why a lot of like the 90s Marvel Universe stuff is like astronomical. Like I said a couple of weeks ago to somebody, I think on one of Nate's live streams, like I had an entire box of that stuff. I sold at the flea market for like $5 to get rid of it last year. You know what I mean? It had some value, but like not enough for me to sit there and pick them out, grade some, or you know what I mean, like anything like that. But I mean, just seeing like what the card market has done, like exploding beyond sports, beyond TCG. You know, we're seeing like, you know, big things in comic cards, Disney cards, you know, even like Coca-Cola cards, or you know, like any type of, you know, cards are hot right now.
True. And I'm not that I'm, if you have a question or something and I miss you in the chat, just put it in again. I'm real sorry. DC says, we comped a long box the other night. All those foiled and variant covers aren't worth anything anymore, which is true. Kyle, if you have WandaVision comics, now's the time to sell because the stuff is selling for peak. Right.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch and Vision are going up in a little. They've already waiting for Hasbro to release the Vision, the White Vision action figure. But so what I was getting to with all this, and the reason I wanted to talk to you about all this is, hello, Hot Mess Thrifter. Thanks for coming in. And if I miss anybody, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for coming in. People that resell typically don't have a lot of money to speculate or to gamble with. And people, like, I can only relate it to myself with comics. You know, people say, gee, I want to sell comics. What should I look for and stuff? And I tell them all the time, Marvel is on YouTube like every week.
Yep.
Talking about the movies that are coming up in the next year. They already have up to 2026 scheduled. Look at those movies and go for those books. Like I was going at one of my online sales, I was going to sell a book that was the first appearance of Siri as the new Black Panther.
Oh, that's awesome.
It just so happened the week before they introduced the new movie, because he passed away, Siri's going to be the new Black Panther. So that book like tripled in value overnight.
Yep.
Hello, Johnny. Thanks for coming in. But if you want money and don't care, WandaVision spoilers, stay up until 3. Fast forward to the end of WandaVision as soon as the finale. Doctor Strange, yeah. So people don't have a lot of money to speculate or gamble for their reselling business. That's what I was saying. There's a lot of people like me that maybe I'm attracted to sports cards and stuff because I don't need a whole eBay room.
Exactly.
I can fit my sports card selling into a pantry.
Yep.
That's what attracts me to it. It's like, okay, I can go from a room to a shelf system and everything I'm selling is right there.
Exactly. It's so convenient. It really is. And especially like when it's something that you enjoy, like it's my personal hobby. So like in my personal time where I just want to unwind, like that's what I do. You know what I mean? So that's why it's kind of been like the perfect marriage for me, like business wise, YouTube wise, just everything, because it's kind of what I want to do in my spare time anyway. So it just kind of works out. But as far as like, you know, like you said, like people wanting to get into it on a budget, that's one of like the big things I like to get across, like, you know, in a lot of the videos I do, is how you actually can, you know, come across like bargain bins when you go to like shops or shows. And, you know, there's boxes that might have cards for a nickel, 10 cents, a quarter, all the way up to like $1 to $5 or something like that. And sometimes you can find really good stuff in there. And my goal is always to find stuff that looks like it could be graded, because grading cards always like multiplies the value on them. So that's something that I like to do. And the thing that sucks about grading cards is it takes forever for most companies to get your cards back to you. But if you're able to kind of build up enough to like get at least one coming back to you monthly, like it's going to be like a lot of, good ROI coming back. So that's kind of like what my plan's been lately with cards, is trying to, rather than just buy them graded and get the jump, like when the players do well, trying to get them at like the lowest value and just kind of like bake my own profit into it. Like, for example, this past weekend, I went to a sports card show, and there was a card there I wanted. It was a $300 Jason Tatum rookie card. And, I didn't want to pay for it. So I said, hey, you want to do some trades? So this guy wanted 4 of my cards that I had that I just got back from grading. And total, like I might have had $80 worth of money into grading these cards. And I was able to trade them for a $300 card that easy. And it wasn't like, wow, man, I went and paid X amount of money online buying all these cards. It was like I had a total, counting like $15 per card to grade them, you know what I mean? Like of $80 into everything. So
was that card worth $300?
It was, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Silver. How are you?
Yeah, and it's one that'll definitely keep going up too, because Tatum's one of those young, guys for the Celtics that's, has a real promising future.
Right. But, yeah. So do you suggest, like, if they're, I don't know, if they're at an estate sale or a garage sale and they're inexpensive to,
I would. Yeah.
Like anything, or you have to know the players?
If you know the players, it's easier. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of people that might put stuff out and it's just a whole bunch of junk cards that have no value. You know what I mean? Maybe like pennies a piece. If that, might be better just to throw them on a fire and get a little warmth out of it. But yeah, I mean, if you know the players, it's better. Like any players that are Hall of Famers or, in that caliber of player, those are always good to pick up. Because there's always people that collect certain players or certain teams. Like for me, like I'll pick up pretty much any Cavalier out there just because I'm like a diehard Cavalier fan. But, there's a buyer for everything. So it's always, it's always good to know more. But if you don't know much, if you can get it cheap, I say pick it up anyway, because, there's definitely good value in it.
Right. I'm sorry, Facebook user, I'm not sure who you are. I see there's like 6 of you over there. Come over to YouTube and join in the chat. You can see what everybody else is chatting also. Right now, you'll only be able to see what everybody else will post on Facebook. But thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. So, like, yeah, when people tell me about, comics, what should I look for? I said, stick with early 80s to 70s back. Mm-hmm. Usually you can't go wrong.
Yep.
It's the same thing with toys. The new toys, you have to look at what's one per case.
Yeah.
The low stocked item, like in a box of Marvel Legends, the one that's always the highest price one, the $50 one, because they're $19.95 up until the May, they're going to go up to $22.99. The one that's always going for $50 and $60 are the one that's packed one per case. It's the one that sells out fast because there's only one per case and everybody wants it. But you got to know what that is. So you got to do a little research. Same thing, comics. Look what movies Marvel's and Disney's coming out with. Look what's hot.
Steven has a question here. He was saying,
just people still priced by Beckett. Well, I haven't seen a Beckett in a long time.
Some people actually do. That's the crazy thing. Like at the card show, some of the vendors there still they'll be like, we're going off of Beckett prices, not by eBay prices, because eBay fluctuates so much. It's insane day by day. So a lot of them will go by this is the price we're going by for the show type thing. So some people still do go by Beckett, but for the most part, most people just go by eBay sold comps. And there's a really good program that I actually use called Market Movers. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of that, but essentially it'll track your card collection. You can literally see day by day real-time numbers of sales, what's happening with each card and stuff like that. It's really awesome. And you can be really informed when you're going to buy cards, because you can see kind of the trends on, the player, where their value's been and all that. And you can kind of even see when cards are undervalued so that you can go and make money like as soon as they jump. So it's really.
So Beckett is still a monthly book, a monthly magazine.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
They
We
also have like an
sell
online.
Is Gate City Picker the one that does the show with you on the weekends?
Yeah. Yep.
So, hold on. Gate City. It's Paul, right?
Yep.
You took us in here.
Come on, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't real. I guess we only have a used to be Walden Books, Barnes and Noble. There's one in Orlando that Sandy and I will go to once every 6 months. But I can't remember the last time I saw a Beckett. Where do they sell them these days?
You can get them, like, for me, I know they have them at my local supermarket, and they also have them at, like, any of the local card shops, too, for the most part.
Now, see, that's another thing. We don't have any local card shops here. I'm about to drive. All right. I'll let you go this time. Next time, though, it's a different story. You and Toy Boy. I told you I went to a comic book store, so I'm looking all around, and they have this huge gaming room with 6 tables with castles and stuff people are ready to play their game. And on the side of the wall is all single cards. Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and something else I had no idea what it was. But no sports cards. But yeah, we used to. I remember my comic book shop, the next block was a sports card shop. And we used to meet at the same distributor every, couple of times a month or whatever, pick up our stuff. But yeah, I haven't seen a Beckett in so long.
Yeah.
But don't you want, like for eBay, like for values?
Yeah.
I'll go to Online Comics Price Guide, which will give you the value of a raw book, in other words, ungraded and graded. So you can see what the difference is. But eBay seems to be the market.
Yeah.
It's like here and now is your value. Where Online Comics Price Guide, I don't know how often they update it.
Yeah.
You don't think cards are the same way?
They can be. If you want, I can actually show you just how cool it is to kind of track these cards.
If you want, yeah. Hey, I'm going to give you the screen and give me 1 second. You can continue though.
Cool.
Right.
I'll actually just pop the application up, so you can actually see this. This in real time will actually pull data from eBay and other sources. Are you able to pop that up on the screen, Paul?
Yeah, hold on. I just wanted to grab my box.
Sure. Take your time, man. But yeah, the really cool thing, guys, is there are tools that you can use for a lot of different cards, just like you can for comics, toys, and stuff like that. Like for, say, Pokemon, there's TCG Player where you can scan the cards. It'll tell you exactly how much they are and stuff like that. This Market Movers is one of the better tools for sports cards. Now, for example, these are guys that I have cards of right now, and it'll allow me to track in real time kind of how their cards are, by 90 days, by 30 days, by 7 days.
I'm going to make this full screen.
But more so than
didn't change.
more so than just what their cards are doing, at a glance like this. Say I want to see what Donovan Mitchell stuff is doing. I can literally go by card he has, by rookie card, by PSA 10. It'll give me the population, how many of them exist. And literally I can go by all of his cards, and it'll tell me how the exact amount for all of his cards. For example, let me show you his Prism card here. And it's super cool how this works.
Wait a minute. It tells you how many.
Yep. It'll tell you
that card was printed.
It'll tell you how many are in population for PSA. So, for example, this is a PSA 10.
Oh, graded PSA.
Exactly. There's 3,829 that exist of this card in a PSA 10, and it'll give you, prices all the way back 3 months, or you can actually even change it. But right now, you can see his price was basically flat right here, and just over the last several weeks, you know what I mean? Just how much that card's gone up over
Holy crap.
$158 just in like the last week and a half.
So it's just like stocks.
Exactly, just like it. And there's not just market movers, there's other software that also provide like these kind of real-time stats. And you could literally look up any player that you want. You know what I mean? I just keep, I like to keep a lot of mine just, on my dashboard. So that way in real time, I can be like, man, this guy's cards are like really sucking. I better get rid of them before the other ones start to go down type thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
is this a paid subscription thing?
Though, yeah, this one is. I pay this is a light version of this. You can do like a more this is just the light version. There's like a really more in-depth version. It's like $50 a month, but the light version's only like $20 a month. And like I said, you can track and chart all of your cards and like
only sports cards.
No, you can do other cards too. This does have some Marvel cards in it. Has Pokemon. So they're trying to update this to have literally every type of card. But as of right now, like the only thing it has like really solid data on is like sports cards for the most part, because that's like the primary focus. But yeah, it's a really awesome program. And like for me, that's how I make decisions on what cards I want to buy, because like I'll look at guys that I know, like, because I watch the sport like crazy. Like I'm obsessed with basketball anyway. So I'll watch it and I'll see guys that just really, their prices are down because say like a player on their team is injured, you know what I mean? But I know that he's going to be back in a week or two. Like for example, Tyler Hero is a guy that I'm actively looking to pick up one of his rookie autographs because Jimmy Butler has been injured on his team. And because of that, the Heat have not been playing well. But once Jimmy Butler's back, the team's going to go back to playing well, and I expect his card prices to rise as a result of that. So,
wow.
I mean, like that.
Kyle, let's see, Kyle, all our local card shops closed down. They were in the malls and got priced out with rent hikes, and then people were allowed to buy tables in the mall on weekends and take away business from them. I could see that happening.
Yeah.
Gate City, you can purchase a monthly subscription from the Beckett website.
Paul's a wealth of knowledge with a lot of this stuff, like especially like for me getting kind of plugged in with like the card community, because the crazy thing is like, we have this awesome community of resellers. There's like the exact same thing of card people too. So Paul like got me like plugged in and like really showed me a lot of
there's everything. There's same kind of community for Transformers, same community for Marvel Legends, same community thing for comics. It's amazing. It is amazing. Mr. Stash, Paul, you didn't go to that flea market this past weekend. I don't know what flea market you're talking about. DC, the internet can influence prices, but there is an advantage to in-person card sales because you can see exactly what you're getting. True.
Definitely. Like that's such a big thing. Like for example, I purchased 2 Isaac Okoro rookie cards in the past couple weeks, and both the description said brand new, pack pulled, fresh into the sleeve, and I got it, and the one had like 3 out of 4 corners all messed up, and I'm like, how is this like brand new, pack pulled? If like I would have been there and seen it in person, I would have been like, yeah, there's no way I'm buying this card. But like, yeah,
right. I think DC used to work for the FBI. She says, I would have to make charts and lists and walls with strings all over to keep all the players straight.
Yeah.
So in other words, this is the guy we're looking for, but this is the head of the family, and this is one of the capo di capos. And a lot of yarn there, DC.
That's what I love about the software is it like literally does all the yarn for me. So, and I'm not like an analytical guy at all, like as Nate could probably tell you, because he's like the charts and graphs guy, and I'm just like that's cool, whatever, but the nice thing is like in red and green, it basically tells me like I'm making money on this, I'm losing money on this type thing. And then I can kind of look at the player and the situation and kind of see what's happening and kind of make an informed decision of whether it's time to, sell their cards or, whether I think they're going to rebound and I can, make even more money on them.
All right. 2 things. Steve Reseller, how really do you know the card is worth anything? And then how does that app get their information to know that it's rising, it's falling?
They pull the stats out of eBay in real time. Now, like, for example, like I was trying to track James Harden when he got traded to the Nets, and it took maybe about 12 hours to reflect the influx in his prices on eBay. But as long as you give it about a 12-hour window from anything completely major happening, it'll show you in real time what's happening. So
Okay.
it's really handy in that sense.
So basically, though, how do you know a card is really worth anything?
That's actually what D says there is actually like the perfect answer, because I have what's considered a pop one. Like, one exists in the world of Bud Dupree. He's a linebacker for the Steelers. It's a green Topps Chrome refractor. There's no other card of him made that's in as good a condition in the entire world. So the card's worth about $900, but I know that there's not a person alive on God's green earth that's going to be like, here's $900, Anthony. Can I have that Bud Dupree card? You know what I mean? Because 10 years from now, while Bud Dupree's like a really good player, his card's not going to be worth even a fraction of that. You know what I mean? So really, It's whatever somebody's willing to pay. So for me on cards like that, I just put it up or best offer and then pray to God somebody's willing to give me something close.
Wow. Dolly, out of all the storage units you've ever done, have you ever come across, I don't remember, you ever come across any sports cards?
I just saw one today. Justin Grimes was telling me about it on Storage Treasures, like the top 10 like ending soonest storage units. There was one with a whole bunch of like cards and collectibles and stuff like that in New York. And I like called my wife. I was like, babe, please talk me out of buying the storage unit. And luckily we're going on vacation in about 6 days, so I really don't have time to drive to New York and back. So I didn't end up buying it.
But what's to say? What's to say somebody didn't use those? You're probably looking at the monster boxes, because I have like 5 of them in my closet right now, full of cards. What's to say somebody didn't use those boxes for something else, for little Play-Doh containers for their kids?
It's possible, yeah. That's the risk you take with that kind of stuff,
right?
The crazy thing is, about a year ago, me and Nate were considering pitching up on this storage unit. It was all like hockey stuff. Like, this was a diehard Pittsburgh Penguin fan. There was all kinds of, like O-Pee-Chee rookie hockey cards and stuff like that. And like literally over the last several months, like the O-Pee-Chee market has just exploded. And like half of what the contents of that unit was, like, it was one of those like manager specials where they had stuff laid out so you could actually see what it was. And like the actual unit ended up going for over $7,000. That was the main reason we didn't end up getting it. But wow. I mean, now just having like those O-Pee-Chee cards, like, man, that would have been like probably $50,000 plus in that unit, easy with all those.
I don't think I've ever heard of O-Pee-Chee cards.
It's kind of like the number one brand for hockey. Like, as far as like the older stuff like Wayne Gretzky, Lemieux, Yager,
okay.
O-Pee-Chee was kind of like if you were to like say Power Rangers, like they would be like the Zoo Rangers or whatever the heck they are over in Japan.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they were kind of like the original, and then Upper Deck Score and all these other ones kind of came in and were like, oh, well, we could print hockey cards too,
Wow. Now, has the what up, Paul, Anthony, and everyone? Hello, Philly Picker.
Joe.
Has the resurgence in the interest and the popularity of sports cards, because I know about this for comics, has it affected other kinds of sports collectibles? Like autograph 8x10s, baseballs. And I just happen to have one, autograph baseballs. Nice. What does that say? Official league. I don't even know who signed. I think it's Jimmy John.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was here, and we got to get an autograph from him. Awesome. But has the resurgence and the interest in the sports cards, has it crossed over to other sports collectibles?
It has, yeah, big time. Like now, like just I'm sure you've heard of like sports card breakers where, say somebody will buy several boxes of stuff and you can't afford it or find it. So you might collect a certain team. Like I collect Steelers or Cavaliers. You can buy in and get that team in that spot in that break, and then if anything comes up from your team, you get to keep it. Now they have breakers for memorabilia as well. You can like get in. Like I just was watching a video the other day where they were breaking like actual shoes, like to where they would open up a shoe box and inside of the box, like they broke it down. Like I think it was like 10 spots. Each person got like 3 teams, but like really only one person's going to get it because there's only one pair of shoes in the box. So then they open it up and it's like actual game used basketball shoes. I think it was like Lamar Odom's from like the Lakers. What I mean? Like autographed game use shoes. So like there's a lot of people like breaking that kind of stuff now where you can get like helmets, jerseys, like whatever. And yeah, that market's pretty hot as well.
Wow. Because I know I still have a hockey stick signed by all the Bruins from 1986.
That's awesome.
But I never knew what it was worth. I mean, I bought it when I first moved into my house in Massachusetts. We went to an auction, not an auction, it's like a celebrity auction, but it was for a charity auction, and I happened to win it, and I just kept it aside, never hung it up or anything.
That's awesome.
But it's very interesting. So if you were you are into reselling, but you're very knowledgeable in sports. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to try to add cards to your repertoire in reselling, mm-hmm. what kind of suggestion would you make for somebody that wanted to start off small but not get killed or spend a lot of money doing it?
Best thing to do personally would just be like if you can find packs at retail, buy them and open them. You know what I mean? And most of the time, like you can get cards good enough out of those packs to justify the retail price and be able to make money off of it. And then if you say hit one of like the really big cards and you're into some really good money then. But for example, like what I would say is if you can get stuff cheap, whether it's at a thrift shop, a yard sale, flea market, whatever, you know what I mean? Like take a risk on some of the stuff, look it up. What I like to do is tell people to like always, if you really want to get into the market and like make some moves to like really make some bigger money, always educate yourself first. So, the most you can about it. And there's tons of people on YouTube that will put out information just like the same with like reselling, you know what I mean? And, they're knowledgeable and they know their stuff. There's a lot of people that will put out videos with like, for example, like the stats I was showing you where there's charts that kind of prove why the card's valuable or why it's going to continue to raise in price or whatnot. So, it's just like anything, just do your research on it. And, the nice thing is like, it's a hobby in the end of the day too. So you can actually make money doing something that you really enjoy. So like that, for me, that's my favorite part. Because I enjoyed reselling as a hobby anyway, and now I just enjoy it way more because now I get to look through cards and do all kinds of fun stuff with them.
Plus, you're making money with it.
Exactly.
What did Kyle up here? How do those people not infinitely get people asking for returns on eBay when they don't win an item in a break?
I would be shocked if they don't eat returns. But I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I've never actually like run a break through like eBay or anything like that. But I would have seen there are some people that like get really upset that they get skunked. You know what I mean? Because that's the thing. Like you could buy in, like for example, like this past year, if you would have bought the Pelicans, you might have spent like $100, $200 trying to buy that spot, thinking you're going to get some Zion Williamsons, and then next thing you know, they don't pull a single Zion, and you still spent that $100 to $200 that theoretically you could have went and bought 1 or 2 Zions, just the singles off of eBay for. You know what I mean? So it's a risk that you run. Like even when you open packs, there's no guarantee that you're going to really get anything of substantial value. The pack might say you get like 1 autograph or memorabilia card, but it could be of somebody that's a bum. You know what I mean? It could be not having that much value, but it could also be like one of the most popular guys in the league, and you could end up with, hundreds if not thousands of dollars. So it basically is a lottery ticket that you at least come away with something in the end with.
Now, one thing that I remember, and Kyle, I'll get to your comment here in a second, about, let's see, it was before I moved here. So 8 or 9 years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I was on Facebook going through, and there was this comic shop. I forget where he was from. He had a camera, put it on his counter, had a box of cards. I forget what kind of cards they were. And he says, okay, PayPal me for packs. Mm-hmm. It's $5 a pack. I'm going to open this, and the first people are going to get their choice. And all of a sudden, somebody's in the chat saying, all right, just sent. And he would go to his PayPal. This is all live on Facebook. And he says, all right, Timothy, $10. You want the top right, second one down, and you want in the front left, fourth one down. And right in front of the camera, he would show everybody, all right, there's the first, here's the second. All right, and this one, here's the one. So now I'm going to open these. And he wouldn't send the cards to the people. Basically, he would say, okay, all you have is commons. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to they didn't get those cards. But the one time the guy, oh, you have this, you got this. This is like a $50 card. We'll get this out. You got to send me now $5 more for shipping. It was very different, but it was kind of interesting to watch it happen at the same time.
Yeah. And there's some breakers that every single player that comes out in your team's colors, you'll get. But then there's other ones that don't send, like a lot of the common cards, like you were saying. And a lot of that is just to keep prices down. But then by the same point, there's a lot of common cards that could have some value. Like, for example, if that, common card is a LeBron James, Giannis, Luka Doncic, you can still sell that stuff for like $1 to $5. So if they're doing breaks like that every day, and multi-quantity listings, they might have 100 LeBron James cards up that they're making $5 a day on. You know what I mean? So
like I was telling Sandy, I said, man, he's making like $100 on a $30 box of cards, so he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. But it was something, way back then. So many people at auctions point out wrong information about Pokemon cards all the time in the chat while bidding. One, if you're trying to win the bid, don't tell people about a rare card to begin with. Very true. Mm-hmm. Two, if you say Red Cheeks Pikachu and people think it's worth 100 when actually it's from a different set and they're all Red Cheeks, they're worth $3. Mm-hmm. Very true. I see that, Kyle, all the time.
Definitely.
And you're in an auction or two that I was in that I can't believe the people spend that much money. And it's like with comics, I'm always asking, do you have any old comics? And the stuff that they're selling, 50 books is going for like $100 and something. And I'm telling Sandy, it's like, what the hell are they seeing? These are 50-cent books. Mm-hmm. I got the same books in the closet for years. What are they looking at that I'm missing? But
I think a lot of it too is just like people get excited in the moment too, and like, because for example, like I've done that on certain cards where like I'll go through like eBay's auctions and I'll try to find stuff in the middle of the night that's ending, and sometimes it'll be like, oh man, I have like 3 seconds to bid on this, or something's getting ready to tick down. It's like I need to get in on this, and I'm like, oh crap, I should have comped that first. I could have. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Right. That's why it's also important to buy from people who are honest about condition and don't talk up the stuff that has water damage and wear. Comics are the same way. Some sellers don't mention it. That's true. I mean, I tell everybody everything about mine. It's like, hey, this, has here, this has there. I get a laugh when people say, I hear in somebody's auction, oh, this is gradable. It's like, everything's gradable.
Yeah.
What the heck? That's all like speculative. What does that mean? This is gradable. Everything's gradable. Is it going to come back at a 10 or a 1? Everything's gradable.
Well, I mean, technically, almost everything's gradable. I got rejected on my rookie card. They just said no.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
I'm wondering if it's the size, because these were made by an independent wrestling company, so they're not exactly like to the exact size of like an actual card. So I don't know if it's that, or they didn't really say. They just said no.
Yeah, but now I showed you, and I showed Anthony my baseball card collection, which is like 6 cards. This is a Topps, I believe, from 1960 or 59. But then what about this card? This is an official card.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Bowman. So you mean to tell me they're not going to grade that?
No, they should, especially on cards like that. For the most part, some companies, like, they do have parameters, like, because of their slabs, like the way they encapsulate stuff, they can only fit stuff in certain parameters. So because of that, some of them will, like, say if you send in like a really thick jersey card and it's too thick for like the encapsulation slabs that they have, they'll just send it back to you and not grade it. Or, for example, like SGC, I'm just guessing they weren't equipped to like have something that would properly hold this, because with that one, it would probably be sliding around and look really ghetto. So I'm guessing that's probably why they didn't do it. But yeah, most companies probably would grade that, especially since it's like a legitimate baseball card that, actually has some traction for the most part.
Is still, because I remember it used to be, and I will definitely get to the questions, I'm sorry. Is the Honus Wagner still the holy grail?
As far as baseball, yeah, it's definitely one of them. But I mean, the Hall of Fame market it's been like on fire the past few months. So like every single like Hall of Fame big card has just been erupting. And like I was telling you about that company that's now making those cards public to where you can buy a piece of it.
Yep.
They're driving up the market like crazy. Like where I was telling you that Michael Jordan card sold for $750,000 last month.
Wow.
And they're actually, that's what they're doing, is targeting like the older cards, like the Wagners and, like the best of the best, and making those public.
Honus Wagner, though, is smaller than this.
Yep.
So, I remember back then when it was, smoking hot, there was never any graded. Are any being graded to Honus Wagner? If anybody doesn't know, baseball cards when they first came out were in cigarette packs on the outside of the on the inside of the cellophane of cigarette packs. So would any of those be graded today? They must, right? I mean, I know there's not a lot in circulation.
Those are some of the most valuable cards there are. There's actually a guy that was at the card show this weekend that had, they're called T206s. I guess the T's for like tobacco or whatever.
Yeah.
They're some of the most valuable cards there are, and they're very, very tiny. I wish I had like, because I have a couple reprints of those, so like it'd be cool to show you the actual size. But yeah, they're like a fraction of the size. They might be like a quarter of the size of like a regular card. So like if this was, it'd be like that tall and like that wide.
Yep,
pretty much. But yeah, those are gradable, and most companies like Beckett or PSA are normally where people go with those.
So Kyle, the rare stuff I've gotten for steals at comic auctions, like first appearance of Carnage and a lot of 40. I paid $70 for 40 books, and that one book alone is going for $150. Damn, I think I have like 3 or 4 of those myself. See, comic book shop owners, they hoarded all that stuff. Yeah. Then I see a bunch of dollar bin books, and people are spending $200 exactly. Mm-hmm. Just because a comic is bagged and boarded means nada, I think you mean to say there, but absolutely right, Horizon. Horizon, no, sorry, but that sucks. Yep. And then there's fake Pokemon cards. If you don't know, you're going to be losing money if you don't know what you're doing. And I think I spoke about Pokemon cards. I have one box left. I bought 4 boxes. I sold 3. One person says, "Hey, Paul, I graded those cards you got me," and one came back at $100. Another person said, "Hey, Paul, those cards you sent me, I bought from you, are fake." So I gave him his money back. Mm-hmm. So today I learned how to spot a fake Pokemon, and mine here is fake. But I have to admit, it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, a lot of times too, on the back of the card, like one of the biggest giveaways to a Pokemon collector is there's a blue like rim around the card itself, and it's a lighter shade on the fake ones too. So like that's often like a dead giveaway for most people.
Oh, Steve went to a card show. I went to the Raleigh show last weekend and saw $3 comic books.
Nice. Hey,
Perlini, how are you? Sometimes the bag and board are worth more than the comic.
The same with sleeves and top loaders with cards sometime.
Yep. I went looking. I went to the comic shop and I said, "Do you have top loaders?" And he says, "Nobody has top loaders." He said they're the same company that's helping make the face shields and stuff for the COVID protection. So that's what they focus their business on. I said, interesting. Did you touch on reprints of comics yet? That's another fun thing to see at auctions. First appearance of Punisher sells for $800. Chat went crazy. It was a reprint. That's a whole nother thing, Kyle. People, I find a lot of rare stuff, Facebook Marketplace. Yes, you do, you lucky dog, you. No wonder she always rewards herself with cookies, because she finds some awesome stuff. But I looked also at a couple of, you'll see me in the chat, Kyle, because my first question is, do you have any old comics? Just because a comic is a 12 center or a 50 center or 20 center doesn't mean it's good. Marvel Tales for comics are reprints of older Marvel comic books and typically aren't worth much. But there's, Marvel Tales #2. Who cares? How many do you want? You know, they don't reprint sports cards, do they?
They do, only on like, some of the more iconic ones, like Michael Jordan's rookie has a reprint. LeBron James's has a reprint. They do, like, for example, they're starting to reprint certain style of cards, not the exact card. For example, like they'll bring back like an old style with like new players every once in a while. Like the NBA Hoops cards this year had a throwback to 1990, and then the Prism cards that are coming out are going to have a throwback to 2012, where it's not going to be like an exact reprint of the cards like we've seen in the past, but it'll be like that style of card with like the new players again.
So how do you know a reprint card?
A lot of times it'll actually say on the back of the card, down at the date, because every card at the bottom has a date. So down at the bottom where you'd be seeing like, this one says 2019, 2020. Like say this was, a rookie card from 1992. You know what I mean? Like it would have the information from 1992, but then after it would say, produced in like, 2005 or something like that. So The best thing to do, for example, Michael Jordan's, his says Decade of Excellence on it. So that's how you can kind of tell that it's a reprint right off the bat, because, it wouldn't be a Decade of Excellence if it was a rookie.
Right.
Most of them, like I said, on the back, like, because I've had some in the past that almost tricked me to where I was getting ready to list it and I flipped it over because I couldn't remember what year card it was. I was like, oh, dang, that's a reprint. Like, that's a dang good reprint, because like, unless I looked and saw this date, I would have thought for sure this was like a reprint. You know what I mean? So the big thing is always check the dates on the back of the cards, because that's the only real way to track some of these cards, because some of the reprints are really good.
Wow. Steve says Arn Anderson was at the show, $50 for an autograph.
It's crazy the money that these guys can get at these shows.
Damn. Well, he's hot now because he's on AEW.
Mm-hmm.
The comic shop that I went to today is having Lou Ferrigno there this weekend. And I said, how much is he charging for his autograph? She says, oh, they didn't tell us that yet. The last times I went to Comic-Con with my buddy, he's always hanging around the booth because he goes to the booth across the way and they give him a table to sign. I think he charges $20 for his autograph.
That's cool. Yeah, I know that in Pittsburgh, there's always a bunch of guys that come into all of our Comic-Cons, and they make big bucks. I mean, there's some people that'll charge you over $100 just to meet them, get a handshake, and get an autograph.
Mark Hamill, I think at last Comic-Con was $750.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yep. Perlini, we said that about fish and nail and carp to a board, throw it in the first 20 minutes, pull out, eat the board. All right, I didn't get that. Oh, when you talk about the reprint card, does that make the original more valuable?
Most of the time it does. Like, for example, I sent in some 90 hoops Michael Jordan cards because I knew that there was going to be reprints, with that style of card coming out soon, just speculating that, there may be an increase. Just like, for example, like anytime Marvel puts out a new movie, like the comics, of said character or whatever get to be more popular and go up in price. It's the same thing with cards, really. So like there could be any driving factor that causes people's cards to go up. Like, for example, this guy Thibault right here, he was a rookie last year for the 76ers. He's a good player. He's like not like Zion Williamson level or anything like that, but he has a really successful YouTube channel that went viral when they were in the bubble in Orlando last year. And because so many people wanted to like see what was going on inside the bubble, his stuff started to see an increase in price just because, he was getting so many people going to subscribe to his YouTube channel that wanted to go and collect his cards.
Wow. Well, that's like comics, to know if the comic's on a second, third, fourth, fifth printing, you just open the cover and the little mice type, it says right there. Mm-hmm. But typically the reason they'll reprint a comic is because the first issue sold out like crazy. Mm-hmm. So they'll go back. But did you, not to get off topic, but Gate City said he was there too, and you could took a picture with Arn Anderson for $20. Does everybody know that Walking Dead started Sunday? Did you see that?
You know what? I completely forgot about that. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to take a picture with Paulie from The Walking Dead, not to take anything away from our champion here, my tag team champion, but you could take a picture with me from The Walking Dead, $5. I'll make a better deal than Arn Anderson.
If you're lucky, Paul might bite you.
Right.
You get the full experience.
So what do you think? If you hadn't touched cards at all, mm-hmm. but you're a reseller and you're looking to branch out, mm-hmm. Would you bring cards and comics into your repertoire? Would you bring it into your inventory?
I would bring it in regardless into my inventory, but depending on like my interest levels, I would bring it in various status or various ways. You know what I mean? Like I was saying earlier, like if you could care less about cards, maybe just stick to the sealed stuff and just buy and flip it because you're going to make a quick profit doing it that way. But if you're into it, like I said, open up the packs, take out cards, grade them. You know what I mean? Like it's a great way to make money. It really is. And it's fun.
Cool.
But yeah,
but I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you can basically, just like you do on eBay or in any other kind of business, the cool thing is you can tailor make it to whatever meets your needs. You know what I mean? You could have a brick and mortar building doing millions of dollars a year, or you could just do it like as a hobby because you like to open up packs and you want to sell off the ones you don't collect to go and buy the ones you do. So really you can tailor make. That's the beautiful thing about collectibles and stuff like that is you can tailor make it to kind of meet your needs.
Right. And, lately I do see people, if you want to be a YouTube creator, which like everybody is doing lately, I see a lot of people getting a lot of hits just doing these short videos, 60-second videos, mm-hmm. or doing a 2 to 3 minute video opening packs of cards. People like it. It's like it's an excitement. They're really into it.
Yep.
And then if you get something gradable, great, you could grade it, or even though you're not going to grade it because it's a little rare, it's still worth more than maybe the pack. So now you put it in a sleeve and you sell that.
Yep, absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with opening the packs and selling the cards out of it raw. Like whenever I first started, that was how I did it. You know what I mean? Because I was like, oh, I'm not going to wait like 9 months to get this card back. You know what I mean? Like, or it's like, I don't want to put out like an extra $500 whenever I can just go and make good money now. You know what I mean?
Right.
But after a while, and I really started to see like the power of grading and just how much more, because like I will say like grading cards is kind of like if you're selling on Amazon, right? And you get a product that's like a really good ranking, you know, and you know, the minute you put it on Amazon, it's going to sell. Like that's the way that like high-end graded cards are, because there are people that want that card and they're willing to fight somebody and overpay to get it. You know what I mean? So that's what I really like about it. And for example, like they may not fight the same way for a card like that's just like this in a top loader. You know what I mean? Because they have no way of knowing that this is a Gem Mint 10 unless it's in a case that says Gem Mint 10. So, you know, it just drives up the value of everything. And, you know, it's always good when you have people fighting over your products.
True. I mean, grading cards is a no-brainer. Nobody's going to think, well, is it going to come back as an 8, a 9, or a 10, or a 7? Am I going to really, is there a crease I'm not seeing? I tell the same people about when they want to sell their house. I said, get it appraised, pay the money, get it appraised, sell it for $50 to $100 under appraisal. And the first thing it's going to say is sold under appraised value. You can do the same thing with cards.
Exactly.
Selling under market value because the work's already done. You did the work for everybody already.
Absolutely.
But if anybody has any other questions before we end this, let me know. Put it in the chat. Thanks, everybody, for coming in. This was very, very informative. Very informative. I know we didn't get into toys too much. We touched on toys very, very little. But if anybody has any other comments or questions, just put it in there. So I know you talk about Walmart and Target are a good place to get cards.
Yep.
Have you ever found cards and I don't know if you have them, the neighborhood markets, the Walmart do you have neighborhood markets?
We don't know. One that I just started finding cards out though recently that I never knew carried cards is Big Lots. Like you'd be surprised. They have Pokemon and they do carry sports cards from time to time. They don't stock as frequently as like Walmart and Target do, but you can often find, you know, cards at Walmart or not Walmart, Walgreens or Big Lots too.
That's funny. You said Big Lots. We lost half the people in the chat. They're probably in their car now going to Big Lots. Listen to Dolly. Yes, let's have an auction.
Let's do it.
They buy into that opening cards. They sell packs, open them online, so they buy the packs before the guys. Yeah. Graded cards, you can also check the population reports.
Yep.
And pick the best time to list. Wow. I try only to list when I'm the only one of the highest grade. Very interesting, Kyle.
That's smart, Kyle. Yeah, population reports are so important, especially with like today. Like most people that are big time collectors or investors in the market, like they're investing in graded stuff. So like when it comes down to it, like the population on the graded stuff's going to get so high that even having like one like this, like eventually may not be that valuable. You know, so like what I've been trying to do is trying to invest more in the cards that have very low populations because there weren't very many printed, or maybe say it's like a die cut card. A lot of those are very hard to print because like just one little nick in any of the little edges, you know, could really just ruin the value of that card. So I've been really looking into some of those cards that there just really aren't very many of, like in some of those key players, rookies and stuff lately.
So where do you find a population report?
You can go right to PSA's website or, any of the grading companies, and it'll tell you. But that was that number that I was showing you on that Market Movers.
Oh,
where
yeah.
it's like the number right next to the card.
Okay.
And the nice thing there is like having a thing like Market Movers, it gives you all the information right there and it pulls it all for you. But if you don't have that, you could very easily go to PSA and look up whatever card that is on their website, and it'll tell you exactly how many exist of that card in every single grade.
Wow.
So say if it's Luka Doncic, there might be like 30,000 of his Prism rookies graded, but then it'll say there's like 26,000 that are 10s, like another 5,000 that are 9s. There might be like 500 that are 8s, and then, so far and so forth. But yeah, there's stats on like all of that stuff now.
Wow. Look what Dolly started. Mr. Stash. Hello. I agree, Dolly. Arlene, are you having an auction? Dolly, see what you started, damn you. Get your cards out. To pull out all my sports cards. Well, Dolly, if you're going to have an auction, make the link now. Put it in here before we stop. Because the only thing I'm going to have after this is dinner.
Yeah, good call. Yeah, CGC does have a database for comics as well.
Yep. Yeah, that's that barcode too. If you want to see like the specific information on just that comic, the barcode on the back of the comics.
The cool thing too with PSAs,
hey Chris,
now this little thing right here where it says PSA there, it's like a little hologram thing. You can actually scan that on your phone now, and it'll bring up like all of the information on the exact card now that they've put that in there.
Wow. Yeah, that's like CGC with the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. There is so much. So one last question, and we can end it with this. Do you see it continuing or fading? Not fading away. It's never going to fade away, but do you see it not petering off, but
slowing down, maybe?
Slowing down, not being as popular?
I think it's going to be a both and situation, because there's so many like new converts to like collecting cards and stuff like that, to where I think like there's going to be a good bit of people that do stick. But by the same point, it's like anything, where trends come and go, just like sports cards, like they were this hot back in the 90s, you know what I mean? Back before,
right,
the market collapse and everything like that. But I think the nice thing is a lot of grading companies and a lot of the, like Panini and the other places that produce the cards, they're trying to put things into effect to where that doesn't happen again, where, they're trying to control the populations. Like, Nate just put out a video yesterday about PSA doubling their prices. A lot of that's going to really make people think, should I send in this just base card that's not really worth a whole lot?
Right.
Now that I literally, it's eating my profit to send that in. Now people are going to really start sending in really just the cream of the crop like they should. You know what I mean? Or if they have lower end stuff like me, like I always send my lower end stuff to lower end companies, because I can get it back faster for a lower amount out, and it still sells. So I'm perfectly fine with that. So I think there's going to be a lot of people kind of adapting their strategies now that the market's, ever changing. And, the good thing is there are a lot of companies out there trying to kind of avoid what already happened. And I think grading and population is going to be a really big deal going into the future.
Wow. Yeah, Kyle says, I was offered $1,200 on one Pokemon card, but saw I had the only one on eBay. The population was under 100, so I declined it, raised the price.
Mm-hmm.
Someone sold an identical grade one for $2,400.
Yeah, that's awesome. I would have done the same thing
last night. Wowzers.
Yep.
So I raised the price again, and I'll wait for the market to catch up.
That's what I do with my stuff all the time. Like I tell people, like,
hold on, that deserves this. Wow.
I tell people all the time, like whenever we do our sports card auctions, because they'll ask like, hey, don't you have stuff on eBay or whatever? And it's like, yeah, but if you want something from my eBay store, send me a message and an offer, because I put my stuff up because I see the way the market changes day to day. So literally all it takes is one good game, and I'm easily making an extra 15 to 20% on each one of these cards. You know what I mean? So for that reason, I mark it up a little bit so that way when they have the good game, I'm making them more money. You know what I mean? But in the case they don't have that good game, I still have or best offer so that I can still move the card for a fair price. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's really smart, especially with cards and collectibles nowadays, because prices are changing so frequently that you want to make sure you're protected.
Yep. How much do you think is all this is due to the pandemic? All this hype and I mean, people are at home, so they're buying.
Yep.
Do you think
I think the resurgence has a lot to do with the pandemic, just because people kind of didn't have anything else to do. Like, for example, even like the people that are gamblers, right? They had no sports to gamble on. The closest thing they could have to gamble is getting into like a sports card break or something like that. And, you're betting that you're going to hit one of those big players or whatnot. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of people that got into it for that aspect. There's a lot of people that got into it, just like the people that were buying up board games or video games or whatever, just because there was nothing to do. And they were going through boxes of their old stuff, got back into it. And, one thing led to it, another, and boom, they're like, right back.
Well, they weren't doing any neeny nonnies because there wasn't a population boom in December. That's for sure.
That's true.
All right, everybody. I think we're going to call it here, unless there's any other questions. Thank you for participating and staying here with us. It was fun. It was definitely a learning adventure. That's for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime.
And next time we'll get Toy Boy, and I'm out driving right now, to come in with us. Talk a little bit more about toys and stuff. And Kyle, hey, man, $1,200, $2,400, but your cards, man. You want to come in too and talk some Pokemon stuff with us, definitely.
That would be
because, awesome. Like I was saying to Anthony before we went on, you want to start doing some more money in your business that you don't have to take up an entire bedroom with your eBay inventory. You can store your new card or comic inventory in a pantry, still make more money and good money. I'm all for that. That's for sure.
Easier money too. That's the best part about it, is like I get to play with cards and literally make as much as I would breaking my back in a storage unit. It's like you can't beat it. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, man, like, what is it up there? That Castle Grayskull is almost 2 feet tall. Those two boxed action figures, those are 2 feet tall. It's like, a card. All right, I get 10 of these, or 10 of those I'd need a whole bookcase for.
Exactly. That's the best part. This is the absolute best part. Like, man, that's what I just keep telling my wife. I can't wait for, it to get warm here in Pittsburgh so I can start getting this big stuff liquidated out the house. So I can really set up my card stuff right,
Yep. Yeah, Kyle. See, I bought 1,000+ comics and taking up so much space. I can invest in 10 graded cards, make the same money and sit on it for a year. Very, very true. And that's the big saying: work smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
It adds a lot of space. It does. It does.
Yeah, I was just telling Paul before we went live, like the lowest graded card sales like I really ever have are like $20 to $30. You know what I mean? Like that's like selling cheapies. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for the most part, like the average graded card sale is like $50 to $200. And like it's easy money because it's liquid stuff that people want. You know what I mean? Like there's always people searching it out. And a lot of times I get more than market value on a lot of this stuff because it's so hot. Like I'm one of those people, for example, like LaMelo Ball just, he's one of the big rookies this year, and his hoops card came out and people were paying $175 for it. Whereas now you can go online and buy that sucker for $20 just a couple of weeks later. So I'm always one of those guys where like, I want to be like the first to the market with stuff, you know what I mean? And I want to be that guy getting those big chunky profits. And then once things start to cool off, that's when I get in grade mode where I can wait, a year for Zion Williamson's and Ja Morant's or whoever to come back, because I know once I get them back, they're going to be worth even more than they were when I sent them in. So
unbelievable. Oh, Susanna's thinking of listing 2 more items. She is hooked. Woman on a mission. Woman on a mission. Excellent. All right, everybody. I'm going to cut it here. Thank you very, very much. Did you say you're going on vacation?
Yeah. We're going to Las Vegas next Monday. We're going to be gone from the 8th through the 12th.
Wow. And the next time we have Anthony on, he'll say, I'm going to Disneyland.
Probably, because we're planning to maybe go in September, barring COVID, because I bought my wife Disneyland tickets. We were going to go when we were in Vegas, but they don't open until a week after we return. So
Hopefully.
we're transferring over to Orlando now.
They just finally officially canceled Comic-Con in San Diego.
Sucks.
This morning. Officially.
Have you ever been?
Yeah, several times.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic. Love it.
Yeah.
Once you go there, man, it's like everything else is teeny tiny shows.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you very, very much. Anthony, put a link into your channel and Nate's channel if you'd like. Anthony does shows with Nate. They go very in depth about cards and selling cards and buying cards and grading cards. And you two and Gate City, right?
Yep.
You do the Sunday auction of cards?
Yep. Every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. It goes back and forth between my channel and Nate's channel, and it'll eventually go over to Paul's channel too. We're trying to help build him up to monetization right now.
And I have bought I bought cards from Anthony at auction.
You sure did.
My other one's over there. But yeah, definitely. So my channel, come say hello. You didn't put the channel in though.
Oh, yeah, that might help, huh?
Yep. Usually.
There you
go. Right behind the Funko Pops. Yeah, I don't do Funko Pops. If anybody wants Funko Pops, let me know. My distributors still sell them. I have to buy them in cases of 6. Mm-hmm. So as long as I have 6 people interested in the pop, I can, I'll bring it on. But all right, everybody, thank you very much. Tomorrow's Wednesday, isn't it, Paul? Are you right? Yep, tomorrow's Wednesday, Swap Meet Wednesday. Miranda and Lucid Curios are going to be on. And if you want to be on, just be in the chat early, and we'll do a 3-fer. And then Paulie and Dolly Friday. And then Susanna is going to update us on Thursday. So everybody have a great rest of the night. What's left of it, make it great, and have a great Wednesday.
See you guys.